Okay, this article is about the red light district in Amsterdam, the Netherlands. And this lady was on I think, a Cunard cruise and stopped in Amsterdam for like 2 nights or 2 days. Michaela Friel. 5 things that surprised me when I visited Amsterdam red light district for the first time. Well, yeah, lady. The the red light district is mostly for men, not for women. Back in October, I visited Amsterdam red light district for the first time. While there, I interviewed a resident of the area and a sex worker and toured the area. I learned there are plenty of misconceptions about one of the most famous neighborhoods in the world. Oh yeah, I visited Amsterdam red light district first time in October. Last year, I embarked on Cunard's Western Europe cruise, the cruise line's first cruise to leave the UK since the pandemic, which stopped in Amsterdam, the Netherlands, for 2 nights. Amsterdam was voted the second best city in the world by Time Out in 2021, and again, around 2.5 million people from across the world visit the city every year, according to Dutch Art Institute. And I think one reason is that they speak English there. It's like you can just get off the train or whatever, you speak to somebody in English and they'll understand you. So you don't really have a problem getting around that city. Very different than, let's say, you go to Madrid, Spain. You know, I remember being at the train station in Madrid. I was going to Valencia, and I took high school Spanish, so I was able to understand what the man was saying behind the counter. And the man was complaining that many of the people who come to him, with an itinerary where they're going, he doesn't understand them. They don't speak Spanish. Yeah, I remember that very well. And he said it out loud. I mean, he was like speaking to himself, but he was speaking out loud, So, however, in Amsterdam, you're not gonna have that problem. You go up to the clerk in Amsterdam, you speak English, you're not gonna have that problem. In Paris, if you go to like in the train stations, like Gare du Nord, Gare du Lait, and so forth, they have different windows with different languages. So if you see Spanish, German, English, you go to one of those windows, and somebody who speaks that language can help you. That much I remember in France. But getting back to this city is arguably best known for its red light district. This neighborhood is often visited by nuisance tourists, which the city's government website says are often British. Wow. And we know British men like to drink a lot. That's true. That is true. A fact. Often British men between the ages of 18 and 34, according to The Independent. They have been known to visit the neighborhood for bachelor parties or to visit sex workers in the famous red light windows. But I found there's much more to the RLD than its reputation. There's more than just one red light district. See that? Look at that. Let me just say, years ago I visited Amsterdam like twice in the same year. And I did go to the red light district. I stayed at the Golden Tulip Hotel the first time, which was very close from Central Station, and within walking distance. And the red light district was not too far from my hotel, and I was able to walk around. And where my hotel is, the window from my room, I can look out and I can see a boat passing by and people in the boat. That was really something I never experienced before, you know. Somebody sitting in a boat right outside my window passing by, just like this here in the picture right there. So it was actually until I stepped foot in Amsterdam that I was told there are actually 3 red light districts in the city. The district I visited in, the Wallen, is the largest and most popular of the 3. Maybe that's the one I was in. The second largest red light district, Single Bead, has the highest percentage of blue light windows in the city, which are used instead of red light by sex workers who are transgender, according to the last, maybe this came into being long after, years after I was there, because I never heard of this. The third red light district, which is, these Dutch words are kind of difficult to pronounce. Roosdalkade is much smaller and doesn't share the same nightlife. It is therefore considered a more discreet place to visit. The website added, there's a Prostitute Information Center. Wow, can you imagine something like that in New York City? A Prostitute Information Center. No way. Where sex workers inform the public about their profession. And this is it right here, inside the Prostitute Information Center. Also there was like a cannabis place too. There was like cannabis museum, you know, marijuana and so forth. And this was years ago, so they were like really ahead of the times. You know, yeah, marijuana museum in that area. During my time in the Wallen, I visited the Prostitution Information Center, which is run by sex workers who want to inform the public about sex work in the Netherlands and to end the stigma that surrounds it, according to its website. While there, I interviewed Brenda, a woman who says she quit her job as a nurse to become a sex worker. I laugh because I used to talk years ago, I used to chat with a girl named Brenda. She told me she was adopted from Korea, and she lived right there in the Netherlands, in Amsterdam. I wonder if that's her. When she's not working, Brenda said she spends her time at the PIC, where she speaks to the public, journalists, and women who have an interest in starting sex work. There is a high police presence and strict rules in place to stop people from mistreating both the sex workers and the neighborhood. Well, I'll tell you what. When I was there were police and bicycles, you see, riding around, but I didn't see like a lot of cops flooding the area. You know, I saw 2 cops, and interestingly, it was like a morning, maybe like, I don't know, maybe after 10 in the morning. I had breakfast. I was walking around. I think it was like after 10 in the morning, and then all of a sudden I heard like a siren, you know, like those air raid siren that you hear in TV, like during World War II, those sirens, that the population to take cover, you're going to be bombed. I heard this loud siren, and then all of a sudden, I saw 2 police officers came up on their bike, dropped their bikes, and they ran up inside the building. So I was curious, and I waited to find out what's going on. And luckily, Amsterdam is the place where, you know, even though they speak Dutch, they speak in English too. And somebody asked them what's going on, and one of the cops said that one of the customers accidentally pulled a cord. And what that cord is, actually, like where the sex workers are, they have like a cord that's hooked up to an alarm. So let's say they're in trouble or something's happening to them, they can pull it, and this alarm is so loud, like an you know like an air siren, like you see during World War II. Yeah. So apparently the customer was so excited, having sex, that the customer pulled the alarm. I thought that was interesting. That's one of the things I remember from Amsterdam. So both Brenda and a woman who is a resident of the RLD told me that there's a high police presence in the neighborhood. While I didn't see many police officers myself, I did notice several signs in the area which warned people that they would be fined for certain behaviors such as urinating into the canals or drinking on the streets. There were also signs telling the public not to take photos of the sex workers. I do have videos from Amsterdam. Anybody listening to this could check. If you check Amsterdam, you will find some of my videos there on this channel. During a group walking tour of the city, I was told by the tour guide that tour groups are no longer allowed to enter the RLD, likely to protect the sex workers' privacy. There are around 4,000 residents. And this is in English. We live here. Free postcards from the We Live Here exhibition. Before visiting the Wallen, I had no idea that RLD was a residential area. I had assumed it was reserved for the windows, clubs, and bars. Around 4,000 people live in the Wallen district, according to Amsterdam RLD tour, and a handful of them have taken part in We Live Here, an exhibition to promote respectful behavior from visitors. The exhibition, which is next to the PIC, was commissioned by the city council and has photos of some of the residents alongside printed interviews where they explain why they enjoy living in the area. The RLD wasn't always a popular tourist area. During my visit, the RLD was filled with both locals and tourists who were either in pubs at the windows or just exploring the neighborhood like I was. Who's this? Young Kamajal, a local resident and participant in We Live Here exhibition, told me it wasn't always this popular. She said that when she first arrived 23 years ago, the area was considered dangerous as it was known as a hotspot for drug dealers and knife crimes. Kamala said it was both the increase in police cameras and nice trendy shops that made the neighborhood popular. Yeah. Well, let's see here. I don't know if they changed the article, but there was one where she said she interviewed somebody and this person was a nurse. Yeah. She was a nurse. Let's see. Yeah, right here. She interviewed Brenda, a woman who said she quit her job as a nurse to become a sex. Imagine that. And one day she quit during COVID because COVID was tough working during the pandemic. It's interesting to know when she quit her job to become a sex worker, this nurse. But anyway, I was there. This was 1991, so back then when I went, that was when it was considered dangerous, you see, because she's talking about 23 years ago she arrived and she said it was considered dangerous, and I was there a long time before. But I never had an issue. And the girls in the the girls stand around like in the, like, you know, when you pass shops like window shopping, like when you walk down the mall area and you see mannequins and so forth, you know, clothes being advertised and the mannequins wearing. That's how the girls are. Only thing they were wearing like bikinis, and they stand there in the open glass window. You could see the glass, and you can look through. And they come out, they talk to you. That's how it was. I guess that's how it still is. You know, it's an interesting place. But I don't think I turned my camera on when I was there. Maybe they had those signs saying you don't use your camera.